Hola, soy Julio César Chávez.
And lights out, baby. Lights out all day.
This is Sugar Ray Leonard, and you listen to Fight Net Radio.
I mean, this is ridiculous. It's a radio show. It ain't a one-hour television spectacular.
Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it.
We gon' know. I got eyes and ears everywhere. I got friends all over the world, man.
Who gives a shit with White? He's a piece of crap.
With a tear in my eye.
Net Radio, Lee Honish, Andrew Labouche, Miguel Antonio Barragan behind the controls, and as always, co-host. Let's just jump right into it. Andrew, how disheartening is it that the Raiders are now a real football team? Your reaction?
That was a good win. I don't know if you'll say they're a real football team. Takes a little bit more than that, right?
I don't know if it does or it doesn't, Andrew, but when the Raiders win, somehow I think you're unhappy now that they're in Las Vegas.
No, really, football, I don't know. Don't really care either way anymore, Lee, to be honest with you.
Andrew, you're just so not the same now that the Raiders have left you. Do you miss the tailgate and the family?
They're not a part of Oakland anymore. So I'm not one of these NFL that follow, teams because of colors. I mean, fuck do I look like I'm 12? So, I mean, they're not a part of Oakland anymore.
All right. So, with that said, now that you're a newfound Raider fan, Miguel, how do you feel about your Raiders winning today?
Well, just to show you how little I watch football, I didn't even know they played today. But I will tell you that I did go to the store recently to grab some Dr. Peppers and Cokes and bought some commemorative Raider cans. I'm not sure if I actually want to use them or not, but I'm like, you know what, this is part of history. Let me just go ahead and buy some just for the sake of buying some. I'm not sure if I use them or not or just keep them, intact. But yeah, that's how much of a Raider fan I am.
Wow.
They've moved 4 times in their franchise, bro. I don't know if you can really say it's a part of history, but...
Well, to Las Vegas, I guess. First time in Las Vegas. I did the same thing with, the Golden Knights stuff. But, yeah, I don't anticipate them staying. So, it's going to happen.
Well, there you go. There's your football update. If you're wondering, have the Chargers broken my heart? They don't play till Monday, so that my week can be heartbroken all week long. Because that's how they roll. Hey, let's talk boxing. That's what this show's mostly about, kids. I'm going to just give a heads up in advance. It was a pretty thin week for boxing news. So I'm going to do my very best based on the stories to put in the entertainment that these stories actually deserve. That's my preface to everything we're about to talk about. Let's start with last night on ESPN Plus. ESPN Prime. Evangelos Vaquero Navarrete scored a 12-round unanimous decision over Ruben Villa to claim the vacant WBO featherweight title on Friday night in the bubble at the MGM Hotel Casino and really conference center, let's be brutally honest. Navarrete, who was previously the WBO super bantamweight world champion with 5 successful defenses, dropped Villa with a left uppercut in round 1 and in round 4 with a straight left hand. And then he pressed the action and went on to score and win a fight, 114-112, 114-112, 115-111. The scoring seemed a little too close per the Fight News article. I tend to lean towards I don't know, I'm close on this. 114 to 115 is about right. I can't argue either one of those scores. So I will start with you, Andrew. What did you think of the fight? What did you think of the scores?
It was a real good fight. I was happy with the scores. I think Ruben Villa can't be mad about the scores. Look, he lost by 2 points. He was dropped twice. That's the reason why the judges had him losing that fight. Everything else, I thought the kid did, I don't even use the word great, but he did very good for his first title shot against what's supposed to be a big name in Emmanuel Navarrete. Never went 12 rounds, never fought for a title, really doesn't have the pedigree of the, coming out of the medaling out of the Olympics, just none of the above. And for him to go in there and lose a fight by 2 points in a fight that he was dropped twice, I thought, that real good way to start Ruben's career here out here. You couldn't ask for a lot more. We just seeing the experience he had going into that fight.
Miguel Antonio Barragan, scoring the fight, your feelings?
Well, it was definitely, I think, a spirited effort, which I think is what Andrew was trying to say. He wasn't a bad opponent. He was undefeated. Fighting no notable names yet. He was unheralded, but in the amateurs at least, he holds wins over Haney and Stevens and Shakur. So that shows he's made of something, right? And sure enough, in that first round, he was staying right outside of Navarrete's range, and Navarrete just closed the distance and adjusted and knocked him down and pretty much kept the pressure going. So I wasn't too. It was a spirited effort. It wasn't a great fight from Villa, but he did what he could. This is his first main event, his first title shot, and he pretty much let everything out in the ring there and left it in the ring, I should say. But the scores, for the most part, whenever I feel that the right guy gets the win, I don't really care about the scores. But some of those scores just seem a little closer than I would have had, and ultimately the right guy won, so I'm fine with that. But when they're too close, the next time around, these judges are going to end up getting the wrong guy the victory, I think. So that does kind of irk me a little bit when some of these scorecards are a little closer than the action appears to be. But at the end, the right guy won, Navarrete, so can't be too mad at that.
There you go. And that was Saturday night.
I didn't really think the scorecards were bad though. Navarrete looked amateurish Friday night. He lost to Shakur Stevenson. He would have lost to just about any good boxer puncher that night. You can't be that ugly. And I know ESPN was all over him because he's a top-ranked guy, and the other guy, I believe, is a Thompson fighter. But let me tell you, if Ruben Villa was a top-ranked boxer, they would have been all over his nuts that night because he really did one of the best pressure fighters look amateurish. Missing shots, off balance, tired, frustrated. There's a reason why all three judges had that fight close, and it's not because Villa's Bob Arum's right-hand guy. He's not. So I was really impressed with the kid. From coming out of nowhere, the way he was moving, the angles, the missed punches. Listen, his corner had it right. The kid can only move up from here. His corner had it right, and he had the right style. He almost, like I said, it's a draw. You guys, this fight is a draw on two scorecards without the knockdowns, 6-6. He can only move forward. He needs to pay attention to his corner a lot more. They kept screaming to him, counter. I mean, look, he's got no pop. He's got 5 knockouts in 19 fights. We get that. So Navarrete might have been a little bit careless because he wasn't fearing the power. Doesn't mean you don't land your points, and the kid missed out on a lot of opportunities. If I was him, counter punch, more body shots. That was another thing I thought he didn't do enough of, coming from the southpaw stance. In the amateurs, he's a right-handed fighter that turns southpaw. So that means his right hook to the body could have done him great damage that night to Navarrete, who just kept leaning forward, stepping over his punch. It was not a good look for Emmanuel Navarrete, and I'm a fan of his. You guys know that. I've been a fan of Navarrete's, but Friday night, I knew that fight was close, and I didn't score it. Look, I didn't even keep notes on the fight because I thought Navarrete was going to get this guy out of here for lack of power. After the third round, I pulled out my notebook and started taking notes because I knew it was going to be a long one. And it was close. Now, I didn't take the scores. I didn't score the fight. But when I heard the scores, I gave a little applaud to the kid because he earned it. He earned all of that. Those punches he was missing, that was Pernell Whitaker-ish. I'm dead serious, man. The guy was throwing blows from every angle, and Villa only twice got caught. And sometimes I was thinking, he might have been hurt, but it also could have been just how big that fight was in the early stages of that fight. Because look, his chin doesn't get better. It's not like his chin gets stronger, right? But yet he doesn't get hurt the rest of the fight. After round 4, he goes, the rest of the fight without getting hurt. So I think he's only going to move forward. I do believe this kid's going to be a champion. He just needs to stay dedicated and listen to his corner, because they had it right. They asked him not to trade. They asked him to counterpunch. They asked him to go to the body. And the kid did good staying behind his jab and moving out of the angles, but he left way too many points on the board when Navarrete was off balance. He did not fire off his combinations and then get the hell out of Dodge.
And you know what? Navarrete was off balance like a lot. Even that second knockdown, if you watch his feet in that second knockdown, they were right next to another. They were parallel. His feet were parallel when he landed. And it was just a matter of his power being greater than Villa's. But yeah, there were a few times where Villa made him miss, and he looked like he was flopping all over the fucking place. Any other counterpuncher? Because after watching that, I don't know if you guys remember, but this fight was offered to Magdaleno first. I was looking at this fight. I'm like, you know what? I wouldn't be surprised if Magdaleno would have fucking beat Navarrete with that performance on Friday.
Yeah, yes, you guys think the power would have been better. He's a good boxer already. The power's there. He would have had a tremendous shot. And this is sometimes why I don't like them saying I don't want the fight because the money isn't good. Listen, if he would have won on Friday night, now the money's great. You know what I'm saying? It was one win away from making the big money that he needs. He just didn't believe in himself. And I know I got on fucking ESPN shit for saying that last week to the kid that won, but that's why Magdaleno didn't take the fight, because he didn't believe in himself, and he's trying to get the highest money before he takes what I think in the back of his mind was probably going to be a defeat. Navarrete lacks defense, and I don't know how good he takes a body shot. This kid with only 5 knockouts seemed to hurt him twice to the body, once in the 5th round and once in the 9th round. In the 5th round, Navarrete actually kind of screamed, like his mouthpiece came out. The kid got under his guard and hit him twice with I believe it was a left hook to the midsection, and it seemed like Navarrete just released his mouthpiece. And then in the 9th round, he hit him with the right hook to the side, and Navarrete once again, he put his arms down and like kind of did a shake, like he was trying to he was hurting. You could see he did not like the body shot. I think all the fighters, they're going to see that. They're going to work off of that from here on out. Navarrete deserved the win, but it was not his best performance. He can't think going on moving forward that he can fight this way and beat the elite of the division.
Yeah, and then Villa's stock goes up. Even with the loss, his stock goes up here.
Yes, it does.
With all that said, let us now, because that was definitely the fight of the week. Let's move to Saturday night. That was Friday night. Let's talk about Saturday night. For those of you who don't know, former IBF middleweight champion Mario Lemieux, the guy from the Penguins and the Oilers, scored a 5th round KO against Francis Ntetu Mbagu, who the fuck knows how to say his name, in a super middleweight bout on Saturday night behind closed doors in Quebec, Canada. The reason I bring this up, he's an old man. Like, he's the first guy to come back after a layoff. He did score a win on Saturday night and basically fought in a ballroom situation. This is sort of our first sightings of a former name making his way back, Andrew. So we'll start right there. He did win on Saturday. He is still Mario Lemieux after all. I mean, he could fall back on his hockey career and maybe wind up in the whatever it is, the Hockey Hall of Fame. But we're seeing the first champion make his way back as we someday get closer to Tyson, Roy Jones Jr., Shannon Briggs, Evander Holyfield, and a host of other names that are all trying to make some kind of ridiculous comeback. At least with Chavez and Arce, they at least had the nerve to call it what it was, which was a sparring session to make a couple of bucks. So Mario Lemieux comes back. Andrew, are you surprised that people are cashing in during COVID?
No, I mean, no, I'm not surprised. Everyone has to start fighting again at some point. Lemieux, he has 4 wins now since his last defeat in 2017 to Billy Joe Sanders. So he has somewhat of a win streak going on here. The most noticeable name is Gary O'Sullivan, for what that's worth. I don't know what's left for Lemieux there. Look, they were chasing him, or they were, baiting him with for Canelo for a long time. Maybe that fight happens, because Canelo's seems to be looking for an opponent every day here with DAZN. So, I don't really have too much to say on Lemieux. He's floating around there, Lee. If someone pulls his ticket,
Well, no, the reason I bring him up, and I'll turn to you, Miggs. He's a broken, beaten, ex-champion. I just expected during COVID now that we're going to see, and I use the air quotes correctly, quote, Mario Lemieux and his type, end quote, show up because the top name fighters don't want to fight, right? When are we going to see Tony Bellew? I mean, we could just start bringing people randomly out of the woodwork now that, are maybe a year or two removed from their last championship fight, and then go right into the senior circuit. Because apparently all of these guys are ready to fight during COVID-like lockdown restrictions, unlike the real champions. And we'll get to a few of those stories momentarily. So I'd like your feedback on Mario Lemieux.
Well, Mario Lemieux, he's not that old. He's 31. I mean, he does have some miles on the odometer, but he's 31. So I wouldn't quite consider him that far into the senior division yet. He's still an exciting guy. He's got that thunderous left that he throws, and he's powerful and he's exciting. I think for an opponent, for I guess a cheap opponent, because I mean we kind of already know this guy's Achilles heel, right? You box him.
Hold on. Did you say he was 31?
Yeah.
I mean, hold on. I'm pretty sure. Hold on. Let me look this. Hold on. I'm really kind of stunned by that number. Hold on. Hold on. Yeah, go ahead, Andrew. Breaking news while I look up this.
The longtime PR guy for Top Rank.
Oh, yeah.
Pardo has passed away today. How sad.
That is sad. No, my records say that, Hall of Famer Mario Lemieux was born in 1965.
Okay. Is that per Wikipedia?
Yeah, Wikipedia says he was born in 1965. We all know that he started off as a former Canadian hockey player, right?
Right, all right.
And then wound up playing his career out basically with the Pittsburgh Penguins. I'm not surprised that he draws a crowd at all. I mean, he's beloved in Canada after all.
He's got a very famous last name. But I think he's a good enough opponent. He's an opponent at this point in his career. We all know his Achilles heel. You stay on the outside and you box him and take him to the deep rounds. He's notorious for having trouble with making weight, even though he's a super middleweight now. I think as an opponent, as a pretty cheap opponent, I think he's doing well. Like he fought behind closed doors, of course, no fans. He's fine with taking whatever pay cuts, whatever pay checks I guess are coming his way. But as an opponent, I'd say he's still in the mix, at least for a co-main event kind of type deal.
He's basically Cal Brook to Crawford. He'd be the Cal Brook to Canelo, right?
Yeah. At this point, yeah.
Barely hanging in there. One more defeat, he's probably out of here.
No.
That leaves one other notable boxing event that happened on Wednesday. It was Showbox with 3 fighters you've never heard of, nor will you hear of again. And you're not even going to hear about them on this show, but they did fight on Wednesday night. Tune in to Showbox. All right, I'm glad I covered Showbox. I received mail that I'm not covering Showbox enough. And I've now said Showbox 5, 6, now 6 times. Wait, hold on. Showbox. Wait, let me do it like Mauro Ranallo. Showbox. And Harley Davidson. All right. I'm glad I could get that all in for everybody. Tune in to Showbox on Showtime. And here's what you should know about Showtime. Andrew doesn't have it anymore. That covers the week of boxing. There was an interesting one that I was watching, not on it might have been Telemundo. It was legitimately in a dude's backyard, and it was a real fight. I mean, the promotion was sketchy, and the main event was at best sketchy, but it literally looked like it was in my neighbor's backyard. They were in a pro wrestling ring at best because it had that kind of bouncy chuck system under the ring. and it
Oh
was
no!
being
Did they have mics
televised.
there too?
Oh my God. And I was watching it with a couple of friends, and they're like, why do you find this so funny? I said, number one, it's being held in somebody's backyard. Number two, everybody around the ring is not social distancing, and they're all not wearing masks. The only people who are the referees, and they're wearing rubber gloves too, and spit guards, because nobody's wearing anything around the ring. And everybody's just basically pulled up their car and sitting around watching the fight like it happened in Chavez's garage. And lastly, it's actually got like this weird photo wall and walkway over the dirt into the ring, but they bought like a photo wall for when they first come in to pose and get a photo. I couldn't even believe what I was watching. It was so mind-boggling. Yay, COVID. Go Team COVID. You're doing fine. Oh, this just in from India. Those of you who care about India. 7 million people have contracted COVID in India, and the authorities have basically, and I quote, shrugged collectively and said, yep, a lot of you are going to die.
Oh.
Close quote. And I told that to someone else who said, we're doing the same thing here in the United States. We're just not honest about it like they are in India. I said, okay, that's one way to look at it. With all that said, let's turn now to the wonderful world of boxing news. Yes, that's right. You heard it here. We're going to talk boxing news on a boxing show called Fight Net Radio. Why? Because I can. Let's see. I have so many. I'm going to go with the text that Andrew sent out the other night that I can't find confirmed anywhere. So I will give you the source that Andrew sent this clip from. I strongly, by the way, here's my preface, now that I've done homework. I strongly believe the next story I'm about to tell you is clickbait. It's phenomenal clickbait, but clickbait nonetheless. This comes from dailymail.com and their sports section. If you've never heard of Daily Mail, it was the first time I learned about Daily Mail too, reading Andrew's story. Tyson Fury's trilogy bout with Deontay Wilder is abandoned to leave Pat. My God, it's such a run-on too in the headline. Tyson Fury's trilogy bout with Deontay Wilder is abandoned to leave path clear for blockbuster heavyweight unification. Dude, there's no commas. There's no periods. Hold on, everyone. Let me try to get through this because it's literally, that's all the information I have on the story anyway. Tyson Fury's trilogy bout with Deontay Wilder, comma, is abandoned, exclamation mark, to leave path clear for blockbuster heavyweight unification fight, comma, with Anthony Joshua at Wembley Stadium. They didn't even put that, but at Wembley next year. Are they fighting on the streets of Wembley? Are they doing it where they do the tennis in Wembley? No, he just put Wembley in the title. This is such clickbait, it's almost clickbaitable. So I Google searched this fucking thing as hard as I could and dug around. I went on the dark web and bought another jersey for probably the football team that's going to win the Super Bowl. And for $20, gotta love the dark web. But I couldn't really find anything to back up the Deontay Wilder is abandoning to leave path clear. So this is our first story. Let's talk about it. Andrew, it sounds true. It feels true. And we know Deontay Wilder is one, quiet, and two, not training and living quietly in his track house in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, or wherever the hell he's from. So I'll start with you, Andrew. Do you want to believe the story? Do you think the story is true? First to you.
You know, it's been out for a few days with nothing from the PBC or Deontay Wilder saying that it's not true. Now
that's one way to look at debunking the news. I'm going to try that with Trump from now on. You know what? They didn't say that it wasn't true, so maybe it is true. I like that, Andrew. I like that a lot. Yeah.
I mean, what else are you supposed to go off of? I think Deontay Wilder would come out and say that was bullshit if he still wanted the fight, right? What I don't. All right,
I'm gonna go with the touche cross.
What I don't believe from the story is that he's gonna fight Anthony Joshua next. I think that's bullshit. But no, I clearly think Deontay Wilder was in no position to take this third fight so fast, and Yeah, no, I wouldn't be surprised if he let it walk. Make
So I will.
$2 million fighting them PBC guys. And everyone will
I'm
say,
going to counter your counter, Andrew. This is my counter punch to this. My counter punch is Tyson Fury didn't say it was true either, or false.
I think he did. You should go to his Facebook feed. I think he did post about it.
All he says is Deontay Wilder is afraid of him. He's a tosser. Whatever, Dosser or Tosser. I know I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna get an email from Sam Navajero. Shout out to executive producer Sam Navajero, who loves the current format of the show, and even liked the therapy session last week. So I turn to you now, Miguel. True, false, don't care. It's a lot of horseshit. Where do you fall on this topic?
Well, definitely care. I do like Andrew's standpoint of like, well, and no one hasn't said no yet. Yeah, I don't. I mean, it kind of reminds me of like, you know, that fucking Dave Chappelle skit where he's like married to Oprah and he's getting like a massage, and Oprah comes in and he's like, can this masseuse give me a happy ending? And then Oprah takes off and he's like, she didn't say no, you know. So that's kind of how it sounds like. I definitely don't. I mean, I don't think that, you know, his next fight, Fury's, I should say, is going to be with AJ. At least I don't think so. I wasn't aware of an expiration on that in contract of the trilogy, I guess, of the third fight that Wilder is supposedly going to let expire. I don't know when exactly it is. I didn't realize there was an expiration date on there, but let's be honest, it would benefit Wilder to just skip that and get himself fucking Andy Ruiz over here or some bullshit like that, you know, a win under his belt or whatever. I'm pretty sure that would benefit him more than a third fight with Fury. But I can't say. I'm almost positive that, because I've heard what's his name, Fury, say that he wants another fight before the end of the year. If that happens, it certainly is not going to be AJ, because AJ's got Pulev next, so that's not going to happen. If it does happen, it's going to be next year. So I don't know. I don't think that's the case. I'm almost positive that Fury's going to take a keep me busy fight between now and then, just so he's not out too long. So yeah, I don't know. I do think that the third fight is not going to happen, but whether or not Fury's going to fight AJ next, that's on the fence. I'm not believing that one. No.
Let's skip now to Andrew's
what was the date of the third fight?
December something. I don't remember right offhand, but
yeah, I
want to say it was. Yeah.
Did you guys notice all the fights got moved to December 5th, basically?
Yeah, there's quite a few of them that have all moved to that date. We'll talk about a couple of them shortly.
I don't think BBC would have done that if they knew Deontay was fighting in the same month on most likely pay-per-view itself. I don't think they would have put Is it Spence Garcia that got moved to that, or Tank Davis and?
It was not Tank is on, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, Ryan Garcia and Luke Campbell.
Campbell and Tank Davis and Santa Cruz. They're both fighting on the same day. Tank Davis, Santa Cruz are PBC fighters. I don't know. I don't know if Al Heyman would have done that, because I want to say the fight was December 19th, but don't hold me to that. But we're talking about 2 weeks later, then charging them again for pay-per-view. I don't know, guys. I'm leaning towards Deontay's walking from that third fight.
Yeah, you know what, the probability of that fight ever actually going off, I feel like this is clickbait for people that are literally looking for water cooler talk. That's what it feels like. This is like a water. I just know for the casual fans that this is a water cooler type fight, right? So look at it from the perspective of the casual fans. How many fighters do they actually know? I know Sam Navajero likes these moments in the show. So Sam, this is for you. So let's be realistic. They know Anthony Joshua. They know Deontay Wilder. They know Tyson Fury, right? On paper, Tyson Fury versus Deontay Wilder makes sense because there was so much controversy in writing about their previous fight and the previous fight, right? And there wasn't any controversy in the last fight. It was all manufactured by Deontay Wilder. It's all BS. But of course, it's like a game of telephone where it has escalated into the greatest robbery in boxing history. I just want to clear that up for all the boxing writers who listen and who are writing more clickbait stories, because that's generally our audience, excluding the fans, and the fans know the truth. And this is kind of to arm yourself when water cooler talk starts. So I've heard this recently. Oh yeah, I heard Deontay Wilder totally got screwed in that fight, and his outfit was too heavy, and like his dick was hanging to the left and stuck to his leg, and that's why he lost the fight. Okay, here's the truth. He lost the fight because he got beat up. He got beat up, and then he got beat up some more. And he didn't get beat up a little. He got beat up a lot, pretty much from the first round forward. There's no dispute. I don't think that it ever merited a third fight. But yay that they had it on the contracts. And personally, Deontay should have taken the fight because Deontay is literally on the verge of becoming a forgotten heavyweight. He never fought anybody, and everybody back away from your, he fought Luis, and that was a great fight. Lee, what are you talking about? And the first fight with Tyson Fury, why, he knocked him out and got a slow count in the 12th. He would have been champion. No. He lost 11 of those 12 rounds. Go back and watch the tape, you a-holes who don't know shit about boxing. And this goes out to some of the writers. Just because you know how to blog or set up a blog doesn't make you somebody worthy of talking about boxing, you fucking putzes. I mean, it's clickbait. It's their clickbait that is fucking up boxing for the casual fan. Like, we should have... Look, I'm down with Fury versus Deontay Wilder again. I don't see anything wrong with it. But we, as professionals who cover this sport, who go to the events, who shoot video, who talk to the real people, we all knew because of COVID that this fucking fight was never going to happen. Ever. There's no way. Deontay's holed up with his family. He's probably afraid of COVID. Like, it's them. The COVID's coming to get me. I need my bomb squad nation to protect my house. Circle it and smack it down. Right? Like, that's how I picture him. Like, in his crazy, delusional, bombsy squad mind, like, it's coming to get him like zombies, right? And I truly believe that. I think he is one of those guys that, I'm not leaving my house. I'm not leaving my fucking house. Fuck you guys. I'm not leaving my house. I don't think this fight was ever close to ever happening. And I personally don't think Anthony Joshua is going to fly out or go anywhere either. And Tyson Fury seems to be the same way. I'm at home. I'm fucking my wife and training in my garage. I'm not going anywhere. What are you going to tell guys who make $20 to $100 million a fight? You got to fight. Fuck you, I got the belts. And I'm about to prove it with the next story about Canelo. But nobody's going to strip their titles. Nobody's going to teach them a lesson. Nobody's going to take away their branding or their contract. And at the end of the day, even much like Canelo, at the end of the day, Canelo is still going to be Canelo too. He's going to get all the money. He's still going to be the WBC champ. Nobody's going to say dick diddly shit to him either. You know why? Because they're big fucking names. And stars get treatment. In boxing especially. I know nobody likes what I'm about to say. Those three heavyweights are the only thing holding up boxing for the last couple of years. Sorry, everyone. Deontay Wilder, Tyson Fury, and Anthony Joshua are the only real reason casual fans are even remotely interested in boxing. I might be willing to throw in Canelo because he's, been doing this moving up to bigger weights bullshit, but I think that was all calculated. What else is there? Really, is there a Tommy Hearns in the pile that I might have missed? Is there a Marvin Hagler kind of mystical individual? Maybe somebody at welterweight that we could rename Golden Boy again. I mean, there just isn't anybody else. So those four guys and a couple of others, and I don't want to break the news to the Gervonta Davis fans. He's not in that category. Neither is anybody in the PBC. Wow, I'm on a roll. Nobody in the PBC. Errol Spence can suck my dick. All right? And to be honest about Terrence Crawford, great fighter, but he has the name draw appeal of sandpaper against my penis. Okay? That's the truth. And nobody likes it, especially Andrew, because he's about to tell me how great fighters, there are many great fighters. I get that, Andrew. We're talking about the people who make it a mega pay-per-view. And there's 4, 5, maybe 6 people? Manny Pacquiao's one of them. Floyd Mayweather, if he came back, would be one of them. But the truth in the heavyweight division, Those three knuckleheads are the only ones making any real money. Okay, I've said my piece. Andrew, you may now yell at me that there are many good boxers, and I'm being an asshole.
I got nothing. I got nothing. Listen, I don't think any of these fights are going to go down because they need fans, Lee. So,
right?
So
they need casual fans. A drunken night in Vegas. Like, who's going to go? Let's say COVID was over and we found a cure.
I guess with college football coming back on, December 19th is now off the table. There's 5 championship games going that day. Fox, ESPN, both don't want to go with the fight. So the fight's probably off for many reasons. One, because they can't have a full house still. And 2, there's other things being scheduled that are having popularity than boxing. So I don't know how boxing is going to survive this. Look, they're putting on these little shitty shows, but the fighters like Lee's talking about that make 20+ million or shit, maybe even 10+ million dollars. I don't know where they're going to get their money from without going back to pay-per-view, some kind of pay-per-view format, and the fans buying in. Without that, there is no money in the pot, guys. So we're just going to have to wait this thing out and see where it goes. And thank God for a fight like Lomachenko versus Teofimo Lopez coming on next weekend. We still have fights like that. We thank God for like a Ryan Garcia, Luke Campbell. These 2 guys were willing to take it on. And I believe Ryan Garcia versus Jorge Linares is going to come right down the pipeline if he's successful with Campbell. So there is some light at the end of the tunnel, but no. 2 $50 million guys, Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury, there's no money there to make that fight yet. They're saying next year, May of 2021, April of 2021, but without a crowd, I can't see where they're going to generate $100 million.
I completely agree, and I'll go a step further because I just read an article in the Hollywood Reporter about how much money. Okay, you guys are all thinking, oh, boo-hoo, these guys are making hundreds of millions and they're not fighting. Let's go a step further. The venues themselves, Live Nation, the ticket vendor, all these companies are losing money. And the Hollywood Reporter today put out a great article about live shows. Over 300 live shows have been canceled since the start of COVID. 300. Okay, you're talking Ozzy Osbourne farewell reunions. You're talking boxing. You're talking pro wrestling that happens every 5.5 minutes. You're talking hundreds of millions of dollars that have been lost economically. I mean, it's staggering in its scope, and it's so part of regular life now that everybody's like, I don't know what the big deal is. They were making lots of money. Shut up, okay? You guys better get really used to live streams and paying for live. I see it now on some of the services, right? See a live stream of your favorite band. It's like 15. Sammy Hagar, live stream from Catalina. If you want to see it live, you got to have a boat because he anchored it in the fucking harbor. Okay? That's crazy. And then he wanted to charge $15 a head for the live stream. What? You want me to pay $15 to watch video of Sammy on a boat deck performing? I mean, that is mind-boggling on so many epic levels. I don't even know where to begin on the topic. And it's going to be the same for boxing. We can't ever be able to wrap our heads around that shit. First of all, we got these bullshit Charlo Mania numbers that we got to deal with, right? The Charlo Mania numbers, if anybody listening to this show really believes that 100,000 pay-per-views were actually sold for that, I need you to get up, turn off this show, unsubscribe, then go walk outside and lick a post, okay? Like you are, as a boxing fan that listens to this show, insane if you truly believe that Charlo had the ability to draw those kind of numbers. Neither of those guys have the ability to draw those numbers. They couldn't get that kind of draw if they were doing that card on Showtime regular, okay? Let alone pay-per-view for $80 a head. I'm stunned by the emotional logic of now boxing's lying to make everybody believe, the boxing fans are still there. They're ready to come back. No, they're not. No, they're not, because the stars aren't coming back. I mean, that's the truth, Andrew. We're just kind of goat fucked because everything is still on fire. And I don't care how people vote. Just vote, all right? So your voice is heard. But truthfully, I don't care if it's a Democrat or a Republican who gets elected. COVID's not going away, people. And we fight in the United States. That's where the hundreds of millions of dollars are. Maybe England, and they're just as fucked as the U.S. We're not doing the rumble in the jungle again. That's not a thing anymore. It's either a rumble in Wembley or it's a rumble in Las Vegas. That's how you make $100 million. That's the only formula that's been proven to work. And if you can't get people with money to get out of their beds to go watch a fight in Vegas, we're screwed. In general, like this whole thing, we're just outright screwed. I feel like I should be playing Glory, Glory, Hallelujah in the background during that whole segment. Sam Navajero is already, I can hear Sam typing going, my God, Lee's rant about the state of boxing. It's accurate. So let's talk about the other star, Canelo Alvarez. Well, you would think because he's got a title, he's got to fight this guy named Yildirim, okay, right? The WBC mandatory challenger. Well, clearly they're just going to skip him. We're going to have some bullshit bubble fight that Oscar will figure out how to get the belt back into his camp because that would be the smart move. Well, you'd be wrong. As of October 6th, understanding the current situation of WBC franchise champion Saul Canelo Alvarez, the WBC, in good faith, we're just going to extend it a little bit longer. They actually said that. We're going to extend it a little longer for the final fight purse and whether or not the actual fight's going to happen for the ceremony for Alvarez versus Yildirim for the vacant WBC super middleweight title. Okay, it's Alvarez. We'll just wait. It's okay. 15. Hey, in 15 days, come back, guys. We'll extend it another month. Don't worry about it. You'll pay me whenever you pay me. Pay me the next time you see me. Don't worry about it. You're Canelo. You're good for it, right? You're really going to fight for our WBC belt. I mean, we made you a paper mache belt. We made you the really nifty one with all the photos. We made the one with the rocks. I mean, we go out of our way. We want to give you a diamond belt next. It's corrupt, Andrew. We're fucked. We're fucked. Did I lose Andrew?
No, go to Miguel.
No.
What do you got?
Miguel. All right, go ahead and jump on that, Miguel.
That's just, well, I mean, yeah, of course it's corrupt, right? I mean, I remember Mauricio Suleiman talking about we're nonprofit. We're nonprofit. That's his thing. We're nonprofit. And who else is nonprofit? Fucking FIFA is nonprofit. It's like, get the fuck out of here with the corrupt shit, man. I'm sure he's going to create some Inca Mayan belt or some bullshit that he's going to gift Canelo just for shits and giggles. But I mean, I mean, there's not really. I'm a fan of Canelo's. I want to see him fight. The top guys at whatever weight division he happens to be at. It does me as a fan zero good for him to get paid $35 million per fight if he fights guys like Rocky Fielding. Like, what the fuck do I get out of that? For starters, I don't get a cut of that, obviously, right? I'm a fan. I want to see the fights. I'm all for fighters getting paid top dollar to fight. But if not, they're not going to fight top guys, then what the fuck are we paying these guys the top dollars for? It's just, it irks me when I see shit like that. And I understand tune-up fights. I understand stay busy fights. But this dude who they're trying to put up against Canelo, whose name I can't even pronounce, for the vacant belt.
Yildirim. Let's try it all together. Yildirim.
Eardrum. Let's call this guy Eardrum. Eardrum. It's just like, come on now. This is, it's I mean, and what else can we do? Like I said, I'm all for these guys getting paid top dollar, but is there such a thing of too much being too much? We made, somehow we got, Ryan Garcia and fucking Luke Campbell, right? Somehow we have Spence and Danny Garcia. Somehow we got Lomachenko and, with limited fans or whatever. Oh, and by the way, on the subject of fans, so I don't veer off too much, this weekend there was a couple of Bellator events in Paris and they had fans in there. So that, if they're going to try to somehow make, AJ Fury or Wilder, whomever the fuck else, or Canelo and some other premium opponent, they're allowing fans in Australia. We know they're allowing fans in Australia. We know they're allowing fans in Paris, France. But it's like, are the millions of dollars over there? Probably not, you know. So yeah, just kind of throw that in there. But it's just it irks me. Like, you know, yes, I want to see these guys get paid millions of dollars, of course, but I want to see them fight the best anyway. And if I'm a fan and I'm not getting that, it does me no good for these fighters to get paid that. Thank God for the Lomachenkos and for the Teofimos and everything, because like they're basically keeping boxing afloat right now. Let's be real. Having these fights, because I mean, these top ranked cards that we're watching on ESPN are lame as shit. They're all one-sided squash matches, you know, minus one or two that stick out. But you know, what condition is boxing going to be in by the time we are able to get more fans into the crowd here or in the arenas here in Las Vegas, or, you know, we're in now Los Angeles or whatever, New York, MSG or whatever the hell? When is that going to happen? Who the fuck knows? And what condition boxing is going to be in once that happens, because it's going to happen eventually, right? When? Who the fuck knows? But it irks me that it's just like I want to see them get paid top dollars. Yes, absolutely. But when is it too much? When is it like, look, we can't do fans right now. If you want to fucking fight, we can pay you X amount of dollars. If not, then what the fuck else? But we get fucked out of that. We get assed out. We get screwed out of watching these fights because these guys are not going to pay them. And you know, to us fans, I don't think we realize sometimes how much money these guys really get from ticket sales from the gate. You know, I don't think we take that in consideration sometimes when we're not really thinking about their purse or whatever. You know, we're thinking about just their purse and not anything else. And I don't know, it bugs me. I get these guys are used to getting paid tens of millions and some of these heavyweights hundreds of millions, but that's not viable right now. That's not feasible. Can we still fight? That bugs me, the fact that they're not fighting for that reason. And to touch on Andrew's point earlier with Magdaleno, that shit about like when the money's right. It's like, dude, the money's not going to be right for a while, so you better fucking fight because you're going to be out for a while.
Breaking news, Dominic Ingle has revealed that he will not be training Kell Brook for the Terrence Crawford fight on November 14th. Instead, he said Brook is doing his own thing to prepare for the fight. That is
like
never...
learning how to practice taking a dive?
Yeah, he's in practice. 6 weeks out, no trainer. Oh, boy.
Wow.
Well, let's talk about, did we even bring that story up last week? If you guys don't know or lived under a rock, I guess the biggest story of last week, which happened right after we did our show, ESPN had announced unbeaten WBO welterweight champion Terrence Bud Crawford will fight ex-IBF champ. Yeah, you got it, Kell Brooks, the guy who loses to people, on November 14th at a venue to be decided later. Promoter Bob Arum stated, "It's an event that will air on ESPN. We'll have soup and a press conference later to discuss it. The fight's like in a week. Thank you for attending today's press conference." There you go. I love the fact that he announced a fight on November 14th on October 7th. Way to go, Bob. Way to go. Bob is becoming Captain Obvious. Like, we get notes from camps that these guys are training and who they're perpetually fighting against. It seems like to me right now, fighters know who they're going to fight or who they're working to fight with, right? They start their camps based on guys they think they know they're fighting, right? And hilariously, it becomes official 6 weeks out one way or the other, which to me is funny. It's really funny. It's really funny. Let's talk about this fight. Andrew, Kell Brook taking on, Terrence Crawford. I say it's about 3 rounds. I'd like to know where, especially since he's training himself now. How do you fall in this fight?
Yeah, no, listen, I was excited for Terrence Crawford to finally get somebody out of the welterweight division to agree with the fight, but with the breaking news here of no trainer and he's going to be doing his own thing, I mean, that only, that's a recipe for disaster there for Kell Brook. This is going to be bad. I know all you guys are probably taking their Twitter feeds right now as we talk to talk shit about Terrence Crawford.
No, Kell Brooks, mate. He's going to show up and be special, mate. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm trying to do Keith Richards almost, because I imagine most Kell Brook fans have to be fucked up on heroin to believe that he actually could win a fight against Terrence Crawford. I don't even think Terrence Crawford has to win, Andrew. Honest to God. He doesn't have to train. I'll spar a little. I'll be there. Don't you worry. What's the date? How much do I make, Bob? $1 million? All right, cool. I'll be there. I got it. Christ.
It's going to be your classic. What did you say for Oscar all the time? Drop weight.
Drop weight, get paid. When in doubt, drop weight, get paid. By the way, it's going to happen for all you Canelo fans. Wait for the Canelo drop weight to go to welterweight to get paid against whatever welterweight up-and-comer Oscar has or whomever at the time.
We'll know to bet the knockout if it's like his, his best friend, like Pooh Boy is now his trainer, or maybe a wife. If the wife comes in, she's now the head.
Oh, yeah, no, definitely. Yeah.
Definitely bet the knockout.
Those are always the big sign. I mean, if we knew more about Kell Brook, I'm sure all the signs are there of the drop weight to get paid, right? Like his wife is banging a celebrity star. He's quietly, he's already gotten rid of his trainer. That's a good sign that he's about to drop weight to get paid. That should be a new segment. Drop weight to get paid signs of fighters. Kell Brook edition. Well, he did the number one thing when it comes to dropping weight and getting paid, right? He literally fired his trainer 6 weeks before a fight. It actually makes me want to laugh out loud. That's the number one sign that you are suffering from De La Hoya syndrome. What do you think, Miguel?
I wouldn't be surprised if he dropped the trainer because the trainer was telling him not to take the fight. He's like, dude, don't fucking do it. I understand he needs to get paid, and that's kind of that's the reason he's doing it. But for starters, I mean, when was the last time he fought at 147? Which is, when the hell was it? Easily 5 years ago, something around that. Then he's fought at 154 since then, and that one time with Triple G at 160. So he's gonna kill himself to make 147. So yes, finally we're seeing a more recognizable name against Crawford, but I mean, still, this is the best they can come up with. Fucking Kell Brook. I'm not too. I don't know. To some extent, I'm not too concerned about him dropping his trainer necessarily, because I mean, they've been together for a long time. I think he can go on autopilot and kind of do the same routine that he has done with his trainer. My only concern is during the fight. During the fight, that person on the outside that sees things that you can't see, and to have somebody new out there.
Whoa, Miguel! I'm going to stop you right there. I don't normally interrupt either of you, but that's the exact format that got Deontay Wilder through being the WBC champion and possibly, in his words, one of the greatest heavyweights of all time. Nobody talked to him in the corner at all. Deontay just listened to the voices in his head. And as you know, he was almost one of the greatest heavyweights of all time, per him. Because
he's the king, right? He's the king. He's king. But that's the thing. I gotta know him. Kell not having his trainer, I don't know. The training camp, I don't think is going to affect him too much during the fight. I think so. That having somebody new in his corner that maybe not doesn't have his best interest in mind the way his previous trainer would have. That part does kind of bug me. But I mean, like, he's going in there for the payday, right? He's going in there to for all we know, he's not even going to fucking make weight. You know what I'm saying? He's probably going to be a couple of pounds over, whatever. Go in there, maybe 4 or 5 rounds, take a dive, and go home with his.
Yeah, it's a nice weekend in Vegas. I mean, after all, you get flown out on a private jet so you don't have COVID. You make a day of it. You go out, you bring your wife or girlfriend or whatever. You go to Vegas, live in a bubble. Once you're done with the fight, stay for a week in Vegas. It's really nice. Andrew, so just so we can keep track of the drop weight, get paid signs, I would think the next one is in a sauna doing sit-ups with the caption of, I'm on track 2 weeks out. I'm already down to 135 pounds. I'm even below the target weight. I mean, we've seen it with Chavez. I suspect that this is the next thing we'll see out of Kell Brook. It's going to be the wheat update video.
Yeah, we're seeing this from Gervonta Davis now. We see him hitting the pads with the freaking sweatsuit on because he's going to be struggling to make that 130.
Fuck me. Fighters are so predictable.
Oh, which, by the way, I recently heard or I think earlier in the week, that Floyd Mayweather anticipates or hopes that the Santa Cruz and Gervonta Davis pay-per-view will make 1 million. We'll do 1 million buys. That's what he's hoping for. That's what he's legitimately hoping for. So I don't know what to think about that, Floyd.
Wow.
Yeah.
Can we talk about that?
News.
Yeah, here we go. Andrew is breaking news all through the day. Go for it.
Miguel Cotto wants to place a fight card in Puerto Rico on December 5th. Is there any other things we can do on December 5th to fuck up Boxing Day?
I'm going to celebrate my birthday on December 5th. I'm thinking, you know what? Let's move Cinco de Mayo to, ¿cómo se dice December, Miguel?
Diciembre.
Yeah, I was going to say Diciembre 5.
Yeah.
Right? It's the new national holiday.
It's going to be Cinco de Diciembre.
Cinco de Diciembre.
Oh, man.
Fucking hilarious. We're going to have fights going off everywhere in the world, and then we're all going to sing We Are the World together simultaneously at each of the fights, raising money for USA and Africa. Or USA and India at this rate, it appears. God damn it, man. December 5th. Well, let's talk about December 5th, Andrew. Spence Garcia clash has been moved to December 5th in Dallas with fans. Sure, why not? Unified WBC IBF welterweight champion Errol the Truth Spence will duel two-time division world champion Danny Garcia in a blockbuster main event of Fox Sports pay-per-view on Saturday, December 5th with fans at AT&T Stadium in Arlington. All right, let's just stop. I don't need to read the rest because they're trying to pump up the undercard that is awful on its best day. So let's just talk about moving this to December 5th for them. If you don't listen to Fight Net Radio and it's your first time listening, we predicted this a week ago, and then several weeks ago, and then several weeks ago, because Spence just recently went into the gym to get ready for this fight. There has been no word from his camp. There has been no sparring video. And now, remarkably, Andrew, as predicted, we're now moving the fight to December 5th. Cinco de Diciembre, the new boxing holiday of champions. So, Andrew, surprised by the move?
No, not surprised by the move. Did you guys see Spence release the pictures of his car accident, him in the hospital this week?
Oh, yeah. I saw that.
Yeah, he released that, said it's been a year. Look, I'm real nervous about Spence going into this fight. After the news came out that his first time sparring was last week or maybe 2 weeks ago now. Really don't know if Danny Garcia's left hook is the first one you want to test coming in after a year of not fighting. If Danny's in it to win it, he's got an avenue here for a victory. There's going to be something there though. He's going to be able to land that punch. So it's an interesting fight. Luke Campbell and Ryan Garcia is also an interesting fight. I believe, they're going to hold more interest. For me, in my opinion, that fight holds more interest because those guys are actually looking to fight everybody in the division. Spence, if he beats Garcia, there's no guarantee that he's going to take on the number one contender in that division, if not the champ, Terrence Crawford. Where Ryan Garcia, if he wins, he's definitely going to be calling out, Devin Haney or the Teofimo Lopez Lomachenko winner or Jorge Linares. I mean, this young man has showed he already had a fight with Jorge Linares signed. So I'm going to be more interested in the Campbell Garcia fight. But I will be streaming Garcia Spence that night. I will not buy it because I'm blackballing the PBC until they start fighting Terrence Crawford. But I will try to. Oh yeah, I'm done. I'm done with that shit. I'm absolutely done.
That's so funny. All right, a couple quick stories before we get to the thing we really want to talk about, which is our featured story. That's no big deal. No, I don't care about that. All right. This story, last two stories, and these are real fast. First 15-round fight fought since 1988, and they crossed it out to 1997, announced. Former IBF junior middleweight champion Carlos Molina, who has been promoting his own fights under the King Carlos promotional banner, has announced that his next fight, scheduled for November 6th, will be a 15-rounder. Molina, who's 34-11-2 with 12 KOs, will take on Juan Carlos Regosa, who's 17-15-3. In the first 15-round bout, since August 29, 1988, when IBF mini flyweight champion Samuth Shingarpol took a 15-round decision over Ink Q Yu Huang in Bangkok, Thailand. And he actually has quotes on why he's doing it. Watching the fight from the 80s, I always dreamed of fighting in a 15-rounder. You know what? I always dreamed of climbing Mount Everest. I'm just not prepared to do it, asshole. I always push my body to the limits in training, so it goes 15 rounds. I am more than ready. Andrew, is there anything you dream of that you just look at and go, yeah, I want to do that? And then you realize practically it's, I'd like to fight in the UFC. I'll give you one. I'd really like to fight in the UFC or a professional boxing ring. Now, here's the practical nature of that. I would physically get killed by a professional fighter. That's what would stop me. 15 fucking rounds in a 12-round environment. Andrew, what do you got?
What commission is going to grant him this 15-round fight? Where is he doing this at? In a third world country?
Well, it's somebody's backyard based on what I've seen from most of these small promotions. And it appears the IBF is, we're okay with it. Sure.
Oh,
go ahead.
No, I don't, that might have been clickbait for his fight card. Who knows? I don't see any commission granting a 15-round fight. I can't believe that story. I'm sorry.
You could do it in Wyoming. Wyoming allows bare knuckle. I'm pretty sure Wyoming might be down with a 15-rounder in somebody's backyard. I don't know. Miguel, you got anything on a 15-rounder and the insanity of that and or the trauma it's about to do to him if it's a real fight?
We can't forget the reason they moved it from 15 to 12, for the safety of the fighters. It certainly doesn't make sense for him to do it just for shits and giggles because he wanted to do it as a kid. I want to be a fucking firefighter when I was a kid, but come on now, I'll be realistic here. It's like, let's get over this. Again, what athletic commission is going to, he's going to have to go to one of these like Indian reservations to pull this shit off the way it used to be back in the day with some of these MMA events. It's like, that's the only way he can probably fucking do it because, and who's going to participate in that? They're going to go into some Indian reservation and be like, yeah, we'll do 15 rounders. Fuck yeah, let's put glass on our knuckles while we're at it. Like, it's just, I don't know. It's
right.
It's
let's
funny.
Go full tongue.
Let's
go full tongue po. No,
Yeah.
I'm with you. Let's go full tongue po. Right. Let's make this just straight up a Jean-Claude Van Damme movie. We're gonna wrap your fists in rope and dip them in kerosene, then put crushed glass on the laminated fists, and you guys can have glass fist fight for 15 rounds. Yeah, why not? That's sure. When I was a kid, I'd watch that movie and I would think to myself, hey, I'd like to fight Tong Po with glass on kerosene laced ropes. And so when I became a professional and then got my own promotion, of course, the first thing I wanted to do was fight in a crushed glass fight with a Jean-Claude Van Damme type fighter or a Tong Po on the other side of the ring. What, asshole? What? 15 rounds. It's such a shocking statement that even I'm a little stunned by it. When I saw the story, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to end the show that week on at least before I get to the main story of the week. Main story of the week. And the last thing we will be talking about, if I am absolutely correct in my math, I'm checking because my phone is loading. We're overtaxing it. Am I correct? Next Saturday is Lomachenko versus Lopez. We are finally there, are we not?
Mm-hmm. Yep,
Yes.
officially.
How exciting. Fight Net Radio, for those of you who don't know, when we actually come to a big fight, we've never done a bubble big fight week. Here's generally how it works. We will give our early thoughts right now on it. We're not going to spend too much time. Then on Friday, we generally do a betting show on Friday night, which gives us a last minute. And then we refine that on Saturday morning with a quick update. So you will get 3 shows this week if all the parts and pieces are clicking. And since I've got a working computer in my current environment, we might be able to pull off a few of these little things and maybe a few surprise guests. I might cash in a few of my, it's time for you to come on the show and give me your opinion, people. So let's talk about early predictions for the fight. We're here I've watched the 24/7s. I believe that on paper, Andrew, I'll start with you. On paper, this could be fight of the year. This could be it. I mean, I don't think Teofimo has a chance against Lomachenko because he's just too fucking fast. But on paper, this could be fight of the year. Andrew Lopez.
Well, I think on paper it is fight of the year. Lead is there hasn't been a bigger matchup than this year since the COVID thing. So this is the fight of the year. It's just, will it deliver or not? No, that's not to be seen because, you know, I have my doubts. I'm going for Lopez, but he's very green. You know, look for Vasiliy Lomachenko to box, to use angles to try to frustrate him. You know, he's gonna use hopefully all that experience that they keep saying that he has. Now I know he only has 13 fights in his pro career, but this is a guy who's been fighting in the amateurs. You know, what he had 3 gold medals. So, you know, I like I said before, I kind of thought of a Joe Caselli, Jeff Lacey situation happening. I hope I'm wrong because I am pulling for Lopez to win. But I do not think Lopez is smarter than Lomachenko. I know Lopez has been saying that recently in the media that you know, people are underestimating his boxing IQ, and it's not that we're underestimating it. It's just we don't believe you have the same IQ level as Vasiliy Lomachenko in that ring. Now, with that being said, I wasn't really impressed with Vasiliy Lomachenko wrestling in one of his 24/7s. Oh, what the hell they were doing in there, you know, running, you know, rolling around the ring with another man when you're going to be fighting. So, you know, if Lomachenko gets his ass knocked out, you know, everyone can look back at maybe he was a little bit too overconfident, you know. So we'll see. You know, it's a dangerous fight. I'm going to have to, you know, what do you really look at on Teofimo's resume to put him up against what he's going to see with Lomachenko? You know, we could look over the Comey fight all we want, but really that was one punch. Hopefully he lands that one punch again on Vasiliy, and it has it does the same damage, and then we'll have a real good fight that night. But yeah, as of right now, Vasiliy Lomachenko is a clear-cut favorite in this to win a unanimous decision.
Telling Miguel. Wow.
Yes.
I got tongue-tied 3 times trying to get through your full name with even a Fight Fiend Migs on YouTube and social media. It was really bad. It was a moment.
Yeah, I heard
They
it.
call me brains are worn out. Go ahead. What do you think?
Well, on paper, definitely yes, it is. You know, the fight of the year. Whether or not it actually delivers is another story. And this is, with all due respect to the Cepeda and Baranchenko fight a couple of weeks ago, which was a awesome scrap. But you know, sometimes it turns out that way. Sometimes fights that you don't realize are going to be great end up being fantastic, and some fights that we anticipate end up being snooze fest. So, you know, we don't know until they're in there. I personally, I will admit, I was underestimating Lopez a little bit because I don't think he's up to par. I don't think he's at that ring IQ level that Lomachenko is. I just feel like Lomachenko. We anticipate the only way. You know, I guess we're estimating the only way that Teofimo wins is by KO. I mean, really, is anybody going to KO Lomachenko right now? That seems unlikely, right? Because unlikely as it sounds, Lomachenko is going to, or I'm sorry, Teofimo is not going to win a decision either, right? They both just seem like everything is in Lomachenko's favor here, not just experience, but also ring IQ. I've compared this fight to what was it? It was Mayweather and Canelo, right? It was just like the up and coming Canelo that was, you know, getting better. It wasn't good yet, but you know, the fading champion in Mayweather got to him before he got any better. You know, a year or two later, it would have been a year or two older that Mayweather is, and a year or two better than Canelo is getting. That's the situation here. I think, you know, right now it's the perfect time to get at Teofimo because in a few years he's going to be that much better. He is going to be at that level that Lomachenko is. He's just not there yet. So. A lot of things are leaning towards, Lomachenko with not just experience, but ring IQ. And I mean, he's gone, 12 rounds more often. The way I'm looking at it here, I don't see Teofimo winning a decision, and I don't even see him knocking him out. I mean, if it happens, if if Teofimo wins, it's going to be by knockout. That's pretty much what we can guarantee, right? Pretty much guarantee. But right now, it just doesn't seem like anybody's going to knock Lomachenko out. So even that seems unlikely. The more likely thing, I'm feeling like towards the latter part of the fight, the second half of the fight, we're going to see one of those things where Teofimo ends up realizing that he's kind of a little bit out of his league right now, and his corner is going to probably throw in the towel for him. It's going to be one of those ring-a-dough things where he quits on his stool. That's kind of what I'm leaning towards, what I think is going to end up happening. Teofimo's dead. It's going to be like, shit, we're in over ahead. He's still young. He can get over this loss. Let's just, he who fights or runs away lives to fight another day shit and throw in the towel. I think it's going to be a late round stoppage victory for Lomachenko.
You know,
go ahead.
Best thing Lopez camp could do is look at the fighter that had the best success against Lomachenko. Now we got to go back to his second pro fight with Orlando Salido. You know, Salido, not only did he beat Lomachenko, but we've really seen Top Rank do a good job of keeping Lomachenko away from that style. Not, even if it wasn't Salido himself, if you look at his next 12 opponents, he hasn't fought in anyone that's a face first, rough, pressure fighter.
Dirty, yeah.
Lopez is young. Lopez has power, speed, combinations. Maybe they better, stay out of the outside, try to work your way in the inside, make it an uncomfortable situation for Lomachenko. Maybe that's the best bet he has here on trying to pull out the victory. But I got to agree, if he tries to go off of his IQ, which Canelo did against Floyd, you're going to get embarrassed because you're not there yet. So I'm hoping that they're looking at Lomachenko's career and trying to find who had the best success against him, and you got to think it was the one that made him uncomfortable. And Orlando Salido is the only one, obviously, that has a win against them. They never did the rematch, and they actually never put Lomachenko in the ring again with the fighter with the same type of style. The Lopez camp needs to try to mimic that style next weekend to try to give their guy the best chance of winning. I do think he's young enough and strong enough to put the hurt on Lomachenko if he is able to get on the inside and keep him there.
We are joined on the phone by the CEO and president of Top Rank Boxing. He joins us once again. And as I'm being told, I'm being told he's going to give the outcome of the fight for everybody. So feel free to hold until Bob's done. He's actually giving me instructions in his headset. He will be fielding questions from the Fight Net Radio professionals. Go ahead, Bob.
All right, listen, I'm promoting this fight, okay? I'm going to give you the outcome. If it goes to a decision, can any one of you two guys guess what the decision's going to be? What about you, Andrew?
Teofimo Lopez split decision.
Wrong. Let's try you, Manuel. What do you think it's going to be?
It's going to be Lomachenko by unanimous decision.
Wrong, Manuel. The final outcome, if it goes to a decision, will be a draw. Duh. I've already signed this for 3 more consecutive fights taking place over the next 2 years. It's brilliant. Ending in a third fight to happen in the stadium in Las Vegas. Thank you, and have a very good day.
That was Bob Arum, president and CEO of Top Rank Boxing, joining us live on the show.
Thank you, Bob, for that insight.
Wasn't he great, Manuel? Wasn't he great?
He sure was. Yes.
I couldn't think of more derogatory names. I was like drawing a blank on M's.
Go with Jose or something.
You could argue that a controversial decision could be coming down the pipeline. Listen, Lomachenko was basically put on a pedestal by HBO, right? Everyone knows about Lomachenko. He really never made it to Triple G status, though. He's not a crossover star. He's not making millions of dollars for Top
This
Rank.
is definitely not that fight. This is a fight fan's fight. I hate to say it because it's cliche.
But
this is really a fight fan's fight.
But what I'm saying here is the upside for Lopez is greater than Lomachenko. Lomachenko's in his mid-30s now. He's had his moment, and it kind of didn't work out. Yes, he's one of the best. Yes, boxing diehards know who he is. But like I said, he is not Triple G. So if Lopez, you know what? If he can win 5 rounds, maybe they do give him 7. Bring it back on a split decision. Bring it back on a controversial decision. A year later, he'll be a year older. Lomachenko will be a year older, and they can do it again. There could be a possibility for that. Lopez has there's a bigger upside to Teofimo right now than there is for Lomachenko. I would agree with that.
Yeah. And you know what? After this, I mean, I've heard both of them say this before, but Lomachenko has hinted at going back down to 130 after this fight, and Teofimo hinted at going at 140 because he's still a young guy and he's continued to fill out. There is way more upside to going to one, in my opinion, at least for Teofimo to be at 140. Then you know what, Lomachenko moving down to 130, which, I mean, there are plenty of 130 guys. We just saw, you know, Navarrete, you know, recently fight. So there are going to be fights for Lomachenko. But as far as like the possibility of making still a star, if you know, what's his name, if Teofimo ends up coming away with the victory, moving him up to 140 and pairing him up against, you know, Ramirez or fucking Josh Taylor, that would be some awesome ass scraps. And I think there is way more upside to him winning and moving up to 140 after this Saturday.
It looks like if Teofimo Lopez is to win on Saturday, Top Rank would match him up with the Puerto Rican Felix Verdejo for his first fight at 140, I believe is what.
Verdejo!
That would be a huge fight for Lopez. Back-to-back fights for him. So yeah, there's a future there. There is you might be right onto something, Lee. Maybe a controversial decision is coming next Saturday. We'll see.
All right. Here's your prep. This is where you get your finger near the stop button. Hold for it. It's coming. It's coming. This is going to be on you, Miguel.
Okay.
Any final thoughts from you, Andrew?
Well, real fast, Benson, what is his name? Michael Benson's also reporting today that Josh Taylor and Jose Ramirez looks to be a go for next year. They've had the fighter, I forgot his name, but the number one contender is taking step-aside money. Or if he's not taking step-aside money, he's stepping aside. He will get the winner of Taylor versus Ramirez. But it looks like that unification fight will go down on ESPN next year. You got to give it to ESPN. They're starting to get their shit together with the things surrounding this COVID era, or however you want to say it.
Andrew, I want to break news on top of your breaking news, Andrew.
Yes.
I didn't want to say this, but Jake, next year, scheduled for next year, this, you know, we're in talks. Next year, Jake Paul will take step-aside money so that I can fight Floyd Mayweather next year.
That's not Buck. That's not Taylor Lopez. Taylor Ramirez, sorry.
Both are about as likely at this point, especially when they say next year.
Great. No, you're crazy. Taylor and Ramirez have been going after each other for about a year now, at least half a year.
I know. Andrew, you also believe that Errol Spence was going to fight Terrence Crawford someday. I still don't see that happening.
When did I say that? When did I say
yeah. Crawford Spence? Before you hated on the PBC,
not even watching,
you believed that the PBC was going to negotiate with other organizations at one point, Andrew.
That's how much faith I have in them guys. So,
all right, fair enough. Miguel, do you have any final thoughts or comments you wish to share? Any stories we may have missed?
Just looking forward to this weekend's fight with Teofimo and Lomachenko. It is, I feel, probably one of the most anticipated fights at the end of this year, especially post COVID. It's something that I've been looking forward to since it's been postponed a couple of times. So yeah, I look forward to that fight and the pre and post shows that we're going to end up doing. I'm excited. I'm pretty hyped up about that one.
Lopez to be worried about the defense. I think that's one thing that the kid Ruben Villa won a lot of rounds on this last Friday against Navarrete. The defense with no crowd being able to cheer on misses right? Because we know when the sometimes when the champion, the guy who's favored, is missing punches in a full arena, people are screaming like they're landing, judges aren't seeing, and they go off of reaction. Will that help Lomachenko, his defense? Lopez needs to make sure he's on the inside. He can't be missing a lot of shots from the outside, or ESPN, the commentators, and everyone might be all over that for Lomachenko.
Oh, and
for
on that
those of you,
topic, did you guys hear Andre Ward? Oh, sorry, Andre Ward was back on the commentary the other night. Andre Ward and Joe Tessitore, they were back.
Yes, they were. It was awesome.
Yes. Less Timmy.
Also, for those of you wondering what the betting line is on Lomachenko Lopez at this moment, as of this weekend going into Monday, Lomachenko is a 4-1 favorite. That's right, minus 400 if you're taking Lomachenko, and plus 300 if you're taking Lopez. As it stands right now, and that's how it is on Bovada as well. Andrew's already heard the number plus 300, and he's already planning to make a phone call the minute he hangs up this show. No way he lays off 4-1 on Lopez. No way you lay off, Andrew. That's right in your pocket for a bet.
Yeah, that's a very good bet. It's a good line.
Right. I know you. Joining us to close out the show from heaven with the scorecards of this weekend's fight is none other than longtime correspondent and ghost, Harold Letterman. Harold, how do you have the Lopez-Lomachenko fight scored? Thanks, Jim. The Lomachenko-Lopez fight, I have it scored 114 to 212. Let's be perfectly honest. Heather Heat Hardy is way ahead on the scorecards, and I'm really looking forward to see what the judges have. But to be perfectly honest, Jim, I kind of fell asleep in the middle of the fight. I woke up, and then it was the next morning. Is today tomorrow, Jim? Back to you, Jim.